The first one is my graphic novel, and this one is for animal studies, and this is for a yellow title. Although I'm looking at it now, and this title is definitely green. Ruh-roh. So, I've completed my demonology class. Did I need it? No. And so she, hold on. Then I have my very first 5-star read in 2 months. Hi everybody, my name is Kelsey, and we're about to get very, very nerdy with the magical readathon. I am beyond excited about the magical readathon, and today is April 1st, which means it officially has started. So, we're starting this vlog. If you guys have no idea what I'm talking about, I talk about this all the time, but it's my favorite readathon out there. It's the Orilium Magical Readathon, which is hosted by Gia Book Roast. So I will leave the announcement video as well as my TBR if you're curious about that down below. But I'm just going to assume from here on out that you know what I'm talking about. So I love this readathon. It's a 2-parter, 1 part in April, 1 part in August, and I love every second of it. So I don't know why, but for some reason this year I've been extra looking forward to it, and I think it's because I ran out of things to read a couple of days ago, and I was like this close. This was so tempted to start some of the things on my April TBR that maybe wouldn't fit for the magical readathon, but I haven't yet. So here's where we're at. I am not so patiently waiting for G to update the quest options, because that's one of the things that I am doing beyond my normal TBR, which is like 7 or 8 books, I think. Yes, I have 8 books that are required for my career. I have 4 weeks, so if I do 2 a week, we should be good, plus a couple of the dragon books, because I want to do one of my extra licensings, which is a dragon writer, and then I do want to participate in the quest. Why I'm so not so patiently waiting for the quest to open is because I have 2 books that I'm bringing over from the end of March, which you can do. One of them is a manga that I'm halfway through, and one of them is a book that I'm about 1/4 of the way through, so I still haven't read that much in the previous month. So I'm hoping to fit those in. One of them I know will fit for a prompt that's not required, but the one that I have on audio I'm like really hoping will fit for my quest, and it's a kind of choose as you go. So you all start in the same spot, and then based on your choices you have a different prompt for each thing. So moving forward, I think what I'm going to do as far as the quest whenever it comes out is just tell you the prompt and what book I've chosen to fit it, but I won't tell you the choices I've made in case you are doing the quest yourself. I don't want to like spoil anything for you, because we all can do the quest at different times and like are all at a different pace, and I don't want to influence anything, but I will tell you the prompt so that you know what I'm trying to fulfill. But I'm just hoping that the next prompt, because the first one was just to read one of these pages that she has created, and I'm just waiting for this one to open. It was supposed to open today, and it still hasn't opened. She has a live show in the next hour, so I am going to jump on that, and I'm hoping maybe that'll kickstart it and she'll open it up then. I don't actually know. But with that being said, I still have to choose a book that I'm starting this month with, and I have 2 that I think I'm going to start with. Both are required for my career. Yay. The first one is a graphic novel, because I found myself really enjoying reading graphic novels or mangas before bed ever since I did like my really ridiculous manga video last month. And that is the 3rd volume of Lumberjanes. I got it from my library. This I have slotted for animal studies, which is to read a book with a yellow title. As you can see, this is green. And so I panicked, but I've looked online and all the pictures show the title is yellow. So I think it might be an alternative cover, or maybe it's a weird printing, like this is printed funny, but online it looks like the title is yellow. So I'm still going to go with it. And then if I have something else that I can switch in later, I'll do that. But we have this one. Now this one follows these 5 girls who are all at this summer camp. I don't know if it takes place in the course of one summer or as they grow up. I'm going to assume it's as they grow up. But the first 2 volumes had one plot arc, and now we're getting into a different one. It's fantastical stuff is going on. I don't know if you can tell, but there's definitely like a serpent thing happening here. I'm curious where we're going to go from here because, like I said, the first 2 volumes had 1 arc, and I don't know if we're going to build on that because it felt very finished at the end of the second one. There's quite a few volumes, but I really enjoyed them, and I have this one from my library, which is very exciting. So I'll probably dive in and out of this one over the course of the next couple of days. I probably won't start it until bedtime, but that one is for animal studies, which is required. And then I'm also going to be doing the Tempest of Tea, A Tempest of Tea, I always get this title wrong, A Tempest of Tea by Hafsa Faisal, which is for my conjuration prompt, which was color wheel, and that was basically like I did a color wheel. I found this very like teal dark blue color, and I put it in this book, and for that. This one is fantastical and historical, and I'm feeling the fantastical vibe. I have quite a few contemporary books on this list that I was debating on whether or not I wanted to start with those, but I'm just feeling fantastical. So this is one that I'm going to start. I'm not sure when. I don't have an ebook or a physical book or anything for this one. I just have the audio, which is great because I've got a lot of things to do this week/month that will require me to do things, but I can listen. So that's exciting. I'm excited about this one. And I don't know, there's something about it that sounds interesting. It's about this kind of speakeasy of sorts, but it's specifically for vampires. And so the woman who owns it, I think something happens to one of her patrons, or she's got some interesting, something happens to her, this tea house, and she ends up teaming up with someone to figure out what it is. I feel like there's a murder mystery element to this, but I can't remember specifically. But this is a YA book, and I am excited to dive in. I'm nervous because of the vampire element, but there's just something about this that sounds really interesting to me. And I think it'll be really good. Because there's like a mystery element to it, I'm not too worried about the vampire element to it. So I'm excited. We'll see how this goes, but those are my 2 books. I will come to you as I read them, as I learn about whatever the quest is, see if I can fit in some of the books that I brought over. I'm not mentioning them just in case I can't fit them in, because I just want to talk about books that are in this readathon, but if I can fit them in, we'll talk about them later. But that's my plan for the beginning. These 2 books, we'll see what happens with those, and I'll come back to you when I have updates on those. And I don't have plan like this today. I need to film a bunch. In the next couple of days, I'm trying to pre-film my entire April videos that I want to do, because we're doing a lot of vlogs, so that's helpful. But we're going to rearrange some of the rooms in this house. And one of those rooms is the library. So I want to pre-film all of the things I can in this room before we change it up and move locations. Not far. It's all these bookshelves are literally just going to go downstairs. So that doesn't matter to you, but that's my plan, is to film a bunch in the next couple of days. And then hopefully after that, I'll be able to dive more into reading, and I'll be able to get through some stuff. But I'm really excited. Like I said, I have super ambitious plans. So let me know how you guys are doing. Let me know your thoughts on this magical readathon. Tell me all the fun stuff down below, and come along for week 1 of the magical readathon. I'm excited.
But hello, welcome to our first sprint set of this season. Very excited to be here.
These skies have a different light, why noise that keeps me up at night. I can't help but think back to you. I wish that I could find a face that I would recognize. I replay the memory of you. It's been hard, you know I wanted to stay caught us off guard, but there hasn't changed. Life took us far apart, but it never took away my heart. Have you been holding it safe? 'Cause it's been hard.
Good morning. Well, no, it's still morning. I'm here to give you some updates, but it's not particularly reading updates. I mean, it is for one thing. Let me explain. So, the two books that I brought over from the month previous, I think I'm definitely able to fit one in, and I finished it last night. It's for a problem I don't need, but I was able to fit it in for something. And then the second one, I have a plan. I think I'm going to be able to fit it in, or at least something similar. We'll see. So I'm here to kind of tell you a little bit about that. The book that I finished last night was the second volume of Cutie and the Beast, which is a graphic novel. No, it's a manga series that is, I looked on Goodreads and there's 4 right now. I think there's only 3 in English. Either way, I was able to find a copy of this online for nothing. Like, I was able to find a reader for it. Now, it only had the first 2 volumes, so I don't know how I'm going to do volume 3. But regardless, I finished this one, and I'm slotting this one in for Demonology, which is to read a book that you did not pay for. Obviously, I didn't pay for this because I found it online. So this is a really cute romance. I read the first one last year. This is on my list of books to read by the end of the year, so very excited to get something in for that. It follows this guy who is a pro wrestler, and he's like the villain in the pro wrestling world. So like, he puts on this persona of like really tough, and so because of that, he doesn't have a whole lot of fans. And then he starts to get this one girl who is like a really good fan, and like reaches out to him and asks how he's doing and that kind of stuff. She goes to one of his matches, they meet, and he realizes that she's in high school. Now he's 23, so there's an issue with the age gap, so they don't really hang out much. She comes to some of his matches, and there's a connection between them. They talk online through like something similar to Twitter, or I guess X now, something like some sort of social media site like that. And in this volume, her parents get involved. And I gave this one 4 stars because I still really enjoy them as a couple. I mean, they're not a couple yet. They're just kind of like hanging out. They clearly have feelings for each other, but they're not really doing anything about it. The parents get involved, like her parents get involved. The dad has done not wrestling, but some sort of like martial arts, I believe. And he's basically the one who's like, no, I'm not going to let you talk to my daughter. This is not great. And then he and this guy kind of like start to create, like, he gets to understand the guy more. So he ends up basically being like, I'm still not going to give you permission. I don't agree that you should be dating my daughter, but I will not stop you from seeing her. So they're not, I mean, they kind of are dating without really dating, but they're doing it in the most like appropriate way they can. So yes, there's an age gap. Yes, it's very iffy, but this is I think it's called a shoujo manga. Basically, that's a manga that is, the target audience is teen and tween girls. And so because of that, I was a little worried, but they're not glamorizing the romance. They're not glorifying the fact that he is so much older than her. There's nothing like that in it. That's just an element. And they're going about this in the best way that they can. So, and I've seen in the past where a manga has not done that. So I'm still on board with it. It's not a super long manga, so I'll see when I can find the next one. But I did finish this one last night. And so I fit it in, like I said, for Demonology. So I've completed my Demonology class. Did I need it? No, but I did finish it. And then the other one that I'm going to do right now is, because the other book that I brought over from the month previously is Foxglove. I don't have the cover on it, but I will later. Foxglove by Ellen Grace, which is the second book in the Belladonna series. I am almost done with it, but I only had read about a fourth of this coming into this month, and I've read a bunch last night. So I'm almost done with this, but there is a prompt here called Inscription where you write 3 titles and like fold them and then pick a random one. I'm just going to do like a random number generator. So I have my 3 titles here. Foxglove obviously is the number 1. And then I'm doing the other 2 books that came from my TBR basket that I couldn't fit into a prompt for the readathon, which is Wish Tree by Catherine Applegate, and then The Enchantment of Ravens by Margaret Rogerson. So let me pull up a random number generator. I know I should write them on piece of papers and tear them up, but I'm just going to do them this way because it serves the same purpose. So Let me pull this up here. Okay, so we need to put in 3 and generate, please, 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 please. Yes! Okay, so number 1, Foxglove. So excited. So this will be officially on my TBR for the month. Oh, yay. I was really hoping something like that was going to happen. It just works so beautifully. Because I know I came to you yesterday and talked about quests, and like her quests are, yes, there's reading prompts, but she's added a lot more extra stuff to it so that if you want to participate, but there's too much extra reading, then you have other things. So we've had a couple of different prompts for the quest, but none of them are reading prompts. Some of them were like picture prompts, and then there is one right now, but I think it's just to reread that piece of paper that I definitely have already read. So the next one's going to open on Sunday because she's got it staggered throughout the month. So I don't have any quest prompts, unfortunately, but that's okay. I was able to fit this one in. Like I said, it's for Inscription, which is so exciting. I have not a lot left, so I'm thinking I'm going to finish this one today for sure. And then I have started this one, but I'm only like a couple of pages in. I read it, as you guys saw, while I was eating breakfast. So hopefully I'll dive more into this one today. We'll see, but that's my plan. I wanted to update you that I was able to fit in. Now I can officially say that I was able to fit in the couple of books I was bringing over from the previous month. Very excited about this. I'm really enjoying Foxglove. It's the sequel, and I'm loving it. We're like down to the wire now. I think there's less than 100 pages left. I definitely have about an hour, maybe an hour and a half left in my audiobook. So definitely going to finish that soon. But today is super gloomy. So we'll see. It's supposed to like get really windy and rainy, but I need to do some errands. I need to run to the grocery store, pick up some things. Bath and Body Works is doing a sale on their hand soap, which I usually stock up on their hand soap when they have sales. And we're just down to the very last bottle. So perfect timing. So I need to go grab a few of those, and then I need to go to the library because my copy of The Wish Tree, actually, my physical copy, is ready to pick up. So I need to do those things. I need to film 2 more videos. I filmed the 2 that I needed to yesterday. Very happy about that. But I need to go do the errands now before it starts to get rainy and windy, because it's supposed to get pretty windy within the next couple of hours. So we're going to go do that. I'm really feeling a chai, so I might pick up one from Starbucks. I don't know. We'll see. But that is my plan for right now. This is becoming more of a life vlog than a reading vlog, but that's okay. Come along with me while I go run some errands, and then hopefully I'll come back to you, hopefully relatively soon, and tell you about Foxglove, which, again, I still cannot believe that. Like, I would have been happy with any of those 3 books because I do need to read them this month, but like I was really, really hoping for Foxglove, and I got it. Oh my gosh, the fates are in my corner today. Hello, it is the next day, day 3, if you will, of the magical readathon, and I have updates on 2 things and that I finished, and then 1 that I am not starting. I have not started yet, but I'm going to. So yesterday I finished 2 things. One of them, of course, was Foxglove by Adeline Grace. Here it is with the beautiful UK cover. I ended up giving this one 4 stars. I put this in, what did I say? I put this in for Inscription, which is not a career that I needed, but here we are. I gave this one 4.5 stars, and I really, really enjoyed it. So this is the sequel to Belladonna, and I read that at the end of last year, really enjoyed it. Got my hands on the second one right away, and then didn't read it. This is on my list of books to read by the end of the year, so I'm really excited that I did get around to finishing it. So like, I'm not upset at all that this is one that I got to squeeze in. Plus, I got it, like the audiobook, from my library, and I've been on hold forever for that one. So in the first book, Belladonna, this series kind of follows our main character, Signa, who has always been around death. And in this world, death is like a being, kind of. Her parents died when she was basically an infant and has been flitting around from relative to relative who take her in, because when she turns to her, like when she turns to her majority, like when she gets to the right age, I believe it's 21, but I might be wrong on that, she will inherit Foxglove, which is the house that her parents owned, but also like a ton of money. So if you are the guardian of her when this happens, then you will inherit some stuff. But stuff ends up happening to all of these guardians, and they all end up dying for one reason or the other. The first book is mostly about her going to her very last relative, which is a long lost or like a very distant cousin who is mourning the passing of his wife, and his daughter is very, very sick. She can see ghosts and is very connected to like death. And so the ghost of the wife who has passed away shows up to her and basically says, I died via poison. I'm like convinced I was killed, and I'm afraid the same thing is happening to my daughter. Please figure out who it is. So it's a murder mystery of that, for that. And then in this book, we continue directly after the events of the first one, because like the story's all nice and wrapped up, and then there's an epilogue, and the epilogue is what starts things again. So in this one, we have another murder mystery, and we have the same characters, but it's them, Cigna specifically dealing with kind of what happened at the end of the last book. Death, like I said, is kind of an otherworldly person, and we have another one of those that shows up and causes some mischief. This is very reminiscent in my head to the kind of latter two books in the Kingdom of the Wicked series, based solely on the backstory of our main character and like as she's figuring stuff out. So I was not hooked right away. I think I probably should have read maybe a synopsis of the first one. The way it ended was very, very abrupt in my, or like very, very present in my head, so I wasn't worried about forgetting plot stuff. But then like this book started and they were throwing some names at me, and I was like, oh crap, I forgot who these people are. I figured it out pretty quickly, so it wasn't like a big hindrance, but it did take me a little bit longer to get into it. And then I was about 100 pages in, maybe a little bit less, and I was hooked. And the plot really started to get going. It did take a little bit longer for me to get into the plot with this one than it did with the first one. I think I was hooked pretty quickly, but I really enjoyed it. It's got the same vibes of like ghosty supernatural stuff is going on. There's magic in this book, but there's also this murder mystery element that Cigna is trying to figure out. It does switch back and forth between Cigna's perspective and her cousin Blythe's perspective, which I found really interesting, especially because the third book is titled Wisteria, which is a third house, is also like was what another house is called in this world. And I'm wondering, because of how this book ended, if we're going to get the third book entirely in Blythe's perspective. I think that would be really interesting. I don't think we will, just because Cigna is the main character, or has been for the last couple of books. But it's set up the third one really well to be very interesting. So this has an ending. Even though there is an epilogue, there is an ending to this book. So if you're done after 2, I feel like you could stop here. I need more. So I'm excited to see what the third one's all about. But I finished this one, 4.5 stars. Very excited about it. It was very good. Definitely in the murder mystery gothic vibe. So I am reading it in the spring instead of in the winter, or like in the fall season, because I would consider these pretty good fall books. But anyway, I read that one, and then before bed I finished the 3rd and actually the 4th volume of Lumberjanes as well. I ended up just picking up the 4th one right away because my library had it digitally, and then I've actually already started the 5th one. So I'm thinking that this series, and I might start doing this in the future, is going to be one that I just kind of like pick up volumes throughout the month and kind of read them before bed, because that's been a lot of fun just to kind of like dive into this world again. And then the ending of, was it the ending of this one? No, it was the ending of the 4th one. I was like, I feel like I need some answers. So I really enjoyed that. Anyway, but I gave this one 3.5 stars. I gave the 4th one 4 stars. This one specifically was in for the prompt of Animal Studies, which was yellow title, as we talked about. The title is, I think the colors are wrong in the printed version, but online the picture is yellow. So this one, there's not a whole lot to say about this one. Like I said, it follows like 5 girls over the course of one summer. There are 20-something volumes, and I'm thinking these volumes take place over one summer because there was an overarching plot in the first 2 books that is over now, and this one feels kind of like a stand-in based on what the 4th one was like. The 4th one kind of picked up a new plot that I think is going to be an overarching plot for a few volumes, just as like a background thing as the kids kind of figure out what the heck this camp is. But it's basically these 5 girls who go to this camp. They become lumberjanes, and it's basically like an outdoorsy camp. However, fantastical things happen, especially to these 5 and their leader. Like they have these 5 are in the same cabin, and so it's like their cabin leader person, who get like stuck in the most bizarre situations with the most bizarre creatures. Like the 5th volume, which I just started, has to do with mermaids. I'm very excited to see how that goes. This, like I said, felt like a filler just because the first kind of chapter in here is them just telling each other ghost stories to kind of set the mood of the summer camp. And then after that, it's a couple of these girls who like each other, these 2 specifically, go on a date, and then the other 3 are stuck at camp, and it's a free day, and so they basically spend the entire day trying to get badges, just mundane badges, because they're like, we're not going to go have any kind of adventures without these 2. We have to have adventures together as a group. And then these 2 end up getting sucked into an adventure of their own with this woman who's called the Bear Woman, and she used to run this camp. So it's fantastical, it's crazy, it's adventurous. I really enjoyed it like I enjoyed the first 2, but not nearly as much. Enough that I definitely will continue because, like I said, this just felt like a filler, and it felt like the 4th one kind of picked up in a new plot, and I'm excited to see how it goes. I really liked the 4th one as well, a little bit more, as I said, because this was a 3, that was a 4-star. But I did finish this one, so I can now officially return this one to my library, I think. And I got a graphic novel in. So yes, I have one thing out of the, 3 books I've read so far for this readathon. This very, very short one, is the only one that counts for my career. So we really need to get on the things that are required for my career. So what I'm doing next, I was going to do The Tempest of Tea, but I was looking at all the audiobooks that have piled up for this readathon from my library, and there's 2 that are due really, really soon. One of them is Enchantment of Ravens, which I didn't get to fit in for this readathon, so I'm kind of reading that just for myself. And I decided I didn't want to start 2 fantasy books at the same time. But the other one that is due next, and they both have wait lists, so I can't get them again, is Happy Place by Emily Henry. So I'm actually going to pick this one up. I am feeling the vibe of this one. I don't know. I feel more fantastical right now than I do contemporary, but I love Emily Henry. I've heard such good things about her. This one is in for astronomy, which is a zodiac recommendation, and I went down the rabbit hole and found a bunch of different articles that recommended books. I'm a Gemini, so they recommended a bunch of books for Geminis. This is one of them. I think it's simply because our birthday, like Gemini's birthdays, are in the summer, and this is a very summery book. But I love Emily Henry's writing. I really want to see what this one's about. I've heard amazing things. It's also a really fun floppy paperback. But this one specifically follows a group of, like, I think 5 or 6. There's 6 people on the cover, so I'm going to go with 6 friends who rent out the same cottage every single year for like a week for a vacation. And this year is the very last year the owner is selling the cottage, and there's one couple in this group, and they actually break up 5 months before they go on this big group vacation. And because it's their last year, they decided not to make things awkward, so they pretend to be dating, or they pretend to still be dating. So it's a fake dating of their ex situation. So I'm assuming there's going to be some, like, it's also like a second chance romance of sorts. I don't know what other stuff's going to be in it. Emily Henry's really good about layering in a good romance with a lot of other, like, issues and personal stuff with our characters. So we'll see how this goes. But this is the one I'm going to pick up next. I don't know when I'm going to start it. Maybe sometime today. I need to film one more video that I completely changed my mind as to what I was doing. So I revamped the entire video. And we're filming that. And that's the last one that I need to film for the end for April, and I need to do some like household kind of like cleaning out some stuff. So I'll probably plop on an audiobook while I'm doing that. But this is the next one that I'm picking up for this readathon. It is required for my career. Very excited about it. I'll come back to you. I don't know when. Maybe if I finish it. Maybe if I have any updates. We shall see. But this is the next one.
These skies have a different light, white noise that keeps me up at night. I can't help but think back to you. I wish that I could find a face that I would recognize. I replay the memory of you. It's been hard, you know I wanted to stay, caught us off guard, but there was no other way. Did you wait? 'Cause I've been counting the days.
Hello. It's been a couple of days, but I'm here to give you an update. And that is that I have my very first 5-star read. In 2 months, I finished Happy Place by Emily Henry late last night, early this morning, however you want to look at it. And I gave it 5 stars. Oh, I realized my bookmark is still in here. Well, it was for the class of astronomy, which was the zodiac representation or recommendation. And so it was required for my career. It was on my TBR basket TBR. Like we hit all the things, you know? I ended up giving this 5 stars, like I mentioned. This is by far my favorite Emily Henry book so far. Like, I had friends who were like raving the crap out of this book, loved it, had read like 1 or 2 books by Emily Henry and was like, this book is amazing. And I said, okay, well, let's see, you know? And they were not wrong. I loved this book. I loved the chemistry between our characters. I loved the kind of like found family element, because it's this group of 6 friends, and I went in assuming that they were the only couple in this group, and that's not true. They're all coupled up in this group. It was like her and her 2 friends, like really close friends from college, and then they kind of collected people throughout their lives. And so my character Harriet and her ex-fiance Wynn are part of this group. And they were friends first because he was friends with one of the guys in the group, yada, yada, yada. And they show up to this house, this cottage that's on the beach. And it's the last time they're going to be there because one of her other friends, her father owns this cottage and is selling it. So that's why it's going away. It's their very, very last time here. And they've been friends since like I said, college, and like it goes back and forth between like present and past. Now it doesn't show like timeline wise as far as like, oh, this was 5 years ago, but like what they'll do is they'll say Happy Place and then give like a location, and then when it's like the present day, it's called Real Life, and it gives like a date. So it just takes place in the course of a week, and they show up, and Harriet hasn't told any of her friends that she and Wynn broke up, or any of the family. It's just like, it was just one of those things that she was kind of holding out hope that it was not really happening, and she knew that like when she told her friends it was real. So she shows up knowing that Wynn's not going to be there because they've talked about this, and it's a surprise, and he shows up. And so they assume that they're still engaged. It's a whole thing, so they pretend to be engaged to make this last week perfect for the girl whose father owns the cabin, or the cottage, and it descends from there. I loved all these couples. I thought it was really interesting because like the main 3 girls who are the friends in this group, like kind of like started this, are so different, yet you see them kind of talk about how they like have come together and become friends, and you see their backstory a little bit. Yes, it's like this beautiful romance between her and Wynn, and like the chemistry between them is amazing. It's not like, as far as smut goes, yes, there's a couple of scenes, but like it's super tame, which is really interesting, and I just really enjoyed their story. I loved their conversations, their banter. Like anytime they talked, there was so much tension between them, and it was just like you could see it like fizzling and crackling, and it was really great. But on the flip side of this, it was a story about like a group of people who now live in like a bunch of different states, and about what happens when things start to change, when people start getting married, when kids are included in the situation, like what what does that mean for the future of this group? Because it seems like they're starting to like drift apart because they're so far apart location-wise. And when I tell you I sobbed like a child and the last like 50 pages of this book, it hit me perfectly. I think I read it at the right time. Like it just hit me in the feelings because like they are, I want to say late 20s, maybe early 30s. I'm not entirely sure. Age-wise, I don't think it says like how long they've been friends and how old they are now. But like they're figuring out their individual careers and lives and what they want, and that makes them kind of like drift apart. And so just like I'm envisioning them very, very similar in age to me, and so just having that was like, it hit me in all the feels. So I think I read this at the perfect time. I was obsessed within like 20 pages. Like it did not take me very long to become obsessed with the story. So this is definitely by far my favorite Emily Henry book so far. It's her newest one right now. There's one coming out later this year, so we'll see if that one bumps us out of the top spot. But like, it was so good, and it was for like a bunch of my required things. So I did it. I read the thing. So that means I now need to pick another book. And so I had a couple ideas. I was like, oh, I'll pick something that's like in my career and you know, that kind of stuff. But I decided to screw that and just go with the mood of what I want to read. So I picked up Blaze Wrath Games, which is by Amparo Ortiz, I think is how you say it. She is a Puerto Rican author, and you could tell because the main character in this book is Puerto Rican as well. And so it follows our main character, Lana, who is 17, and it's this kind of like Olympic style games where a bunch of different countries compete with each other, but it involves dragons. It says on the front, competing is her dream, so why does it feel like a punishment? And so it's like the beginning, like I said, I've literally read a chapter, and she is living in America, but her father is Puerto Rican, and her mother is white, and so she's living with her mom. But because she lived in Puerto Rico for so long and has that ancestry, she can participate or put her name forward for the country of Puerto Rico. So that's what she does. The book starts with her kind of like trying to figure out a way for her to go and put her name in and do like a trial to see if she can be the person to represent Puerto Rico. I don't really understand the games themselves yet, but it has to do with dragons, and it's really interesting because it's written, I think this is YA, but it's written very like contemporary YA. Like she's just talking about her life and her time at school and her best friend, and it feels very young, but she's 17. So it's giving the contemporary vibes, but like there are dragons and her best friend's a witch who has magic. Like it's really like, I don't know how to explain it. It's super bizarre. But like I said, one chapter, I'm trying to figure out where that chapter ended because I definitely listened to it. Yeah, I'm 10 pages in. So literally barely at all. But this is because it involves dragons. It's for my dragon licensing that I'm doing, where I need to read 2 books that involve dragons in some way. This has been on my TBR for a long time. It's the start of a duology. So I'm really excited because I know they're both out, but my library only had the first one. So if I love this, then I still only have one left in this series to read. But it's been on my TBR for literal years, and I'm finally doing it. So this is the one that was calling to me, so this is the one that I'm picking up next. And I'll come probably back to you in a couple of days with thoughts on it. As far as like plans, I'm planning to get a lot of reading done in like the next day or so, because the solar eclipse is happening. If you have been living under a rock and don't know that. And so my in-laws have decided that they're going to drive up to one of the spots that's like an optimal viewing spot, which means lots of car travel in one day. So I will be reading a bunch. So I'm bringing this one, and I'll bring something like a couple other things to read if I for some reason finish this super quickly. I don't expect to, but I also expect like we're going to be in the car for like 8 hours total, I think. So lots of reading is happening. So I'll take you along while we traverse that situation, but then I'll come back to you once we're back from that and give you thoughts. But this is one of the ones that I'm focusing on right now, and it may not be for my career, but it's for one of the offshoot things that I want to do. And my goal of reading 2 books that are required for my career every week, I've already accomplished. So I'm gonna let myself read what I want. Like, the problem is I want to read everything right now, like everything that's on my TBR. I want to read all of it all at once, and I can't do that. So I'm having to like pick and choose, but instead of being practical about it, I'm just gonna let the mood hit. So that's the vibe. We'll take you along with us, and I'll let you know how it goes.
These skies have a different light, white noise that keeps me up at night. I can't help but think back to you. I wish that I could find a face that I would recognize. I replay the memory of you. It's been hard, you know I wanted to stay, caught us off guard, but there was no other way. Did you wait? 'Cause I've been counting the days, and I'm calling up to say I'm coming home to you. I'm coming home to you. I'm coming home to you. And I know that it's hard with you, but I'm coming home. Hold on to my embrace, this time I promise it won't break. I'm hoping that things haven't changed. Life took us far apart, but it never took away my heart. Have you been
What do we find?
it safe? 'Cause it's been hard.
I see a poorly cover, and it's huge.
But there was no other way. Did you
Like,
wait? 'Cause I've been counting the days, and I'm calling up to say I'm coming home to you.
That's crazy.
I'm coming home to you. I'm coming home to you.
There's the airplane.
And I know that it's hard with you, but I'm coming home. I'm coming home. We'll stay up till morning and head out exploring, make up for months that we've missed. 'Cause the cold air is calling and my head's recalling the moment that I was convinced. We'll stay up till morning and head out exploring, make up for months that we've missed. 'Cause your lips are calling and my heart's recalling the way I could never resist. It's been so hard, but no, I wanted to stay, caught us off guard, but there was no other way. Did you wait? 'Cause I've been counting the days, and I'm calling up to say I'm coming home to you. I'm coming home to you. I'm coming home to you. And I know that it's hard with you, but I'm coming home to you. I'm coming home to you. I'm coming home to you. And I know that it's hard with you, but I'm coming home to you.
Hello. It's Tuesday, right? Yes, Tuesday afternoon-ish. And as you can see, I basically spent my entire day in the last couple days reading 7 Faceless Saints by M.K. Lobb, which is for a prompt, just not anything required for my career. So, remember when I said I was going to read the Blaze Wrath games, or whatever that book is called? Yeah, I lied, and I got in the car, and I was like, ooh, this one is calling me. And I basically plowed through like 75% of this book yesterday. I had the audiobook, but I was also physically reading it, and then I finished up the last little bit, like the last like 100, a little over 100 pages or so in it today. So I thought I'd come to you, tell you my thoughts on this one, and kind of wrap up this vlog, because It is later, like I said, in the afternoon. My husband is on the way home from work, and let's be honest, when he gets home, I'm probably not going to do much reading. I might do a little bit of reading before bed, but beyond that, probably not a whole lot. So I thought I'd go ahead and kind of wrap up this vlog here. So, like I said, this was for a prompt, and this one was for the prompt of alchemy, which was a circle on the cover, and there's like a circle here, there's a circle here, a circle here. If you count the eyes, those are circles. There's circles all over here, and then if you take the dust jacket off, you got stuff all over the place. So I figured this was a safe one to put in for that prompt. I'm giving this one 4.5 stars. I very much enjoyed this. I don't know why all of a sudden this book was like, you must read me now, but I'm so glad it did. I think I picked it up at the right time. I think it is very similar plot-wise, like plot structure-wise, to a lot of other kind of YA-esque fantasy books where there was a corrupt government and we're trying to take down said corrupt government. This book basically follows our main two characters, Damien and Ross. Damien is the youngest captain of the guard. So, okay, let me back up. Basically, in this world, there are 7 saints, technically 6. The 7th one is one that has kind of been nixed from history a little bit, but there are 7 saints, and they basically, if you have a specific magical power, you are a descendant from that saint. And so you are thought of as very highly. You kind of go and are part of the group for this saint and practice. And there's a bunch of other people who don't have any of these powers, and they're thought of as not great. And so Damien doesn't have any powers, but his father is like the head of the military. And he was at war, and he's come back. And he's been put in charge of the security. So he doesn't have any powers, but he's thought very highly of because he's been given this really big role, and also because of who his dad is. Roz, on the other hand, they basically grew up when they were really young. They fell in love. He ended up going off to war, and some stuff went down, and they're no longer talking. She kind of produced the ability to kind of manipulate metals later in life, which makes her a disciple of Patience, which is one of the saints. And so this book basically gets started because there's a bunch of murders that take place in the city. 2 murders have happened so far, and they are for people who like are just I can't remember, I keep forgetting what the name is. There's a name for it, but it's basically the people who don't have magical powers, and they're just kind of like thought of as whatever. And then one of the like big disciples, I think he's the disciple of death, which is another saint, ends up dying. And so the head of this, I don't even know how to explain like what his job is. Basically, like his father's the head of the military, so he's like the head guy, and this guy is in charge of like the compound or the location where they are, and it's all in the same city. So this guy basically is like, this is a priority, Damien, I'm gonna need you to figure out what happened. And Roz has been trying to figure this out because like I said, 2 other people have died, and there is a connection between all of them. So they reluctantly end up running into each other and teaming up to solve these murders. A lot of other stuff goes down, but like it's got, you know, like this guy who thinks very semi-highly of his father, and she thinks very badly of his father because she wants revenge on him because her dad died for deserting in the war, and his father ordered the hit out against him. And so she has not very high opinions of this family, and she's afraid that he is turning into basically a clone of his father. So it's the 2 of them solving this mystery. And that's why it gave me, I think when I put it on my TBR, or I mentioned it in my TBR basket, I talked about how it kind of reminded me semi of Crescent City, the first book. And I think it's because you have these 2 people who are polar opposites and have very different reasonings solving a murder mystery in a city. That's really where the like similarities lie or end. I went in not sure what to expect. I looked into it, and there is a second book in this which I definitely want to pick up, but it's only a duology, which is great. You look at this cover, and like I was like, oh, this is not something that I would be interested in. I got in at Fairy Lit and was like, okay, this is like one of the ones that like we'll see if I get to. And I'm so glad that I did, because like there were so many twists and turns. The plot, like I said, is not the most unique when it comes down to like the specific plot structure and devices that are used, but I liked the world, It was confusing at first, but I found myself really kind of like latching on to figuring out the differences of, or figuring out all the like the little nuances that go into this world. I think this author, I think it's a she, this author does, yes, a very good job of creating a world and explaining it to us without it being too heavy-handed and also being too confusing. I've tabbed the crap out of this book. I don't know if you can see them, but I started tabbing this relatively early, which I don't usually do on my first read. I usually start tabbing things about halfway through when I am realizing that I like it. But early on, I was like, oh, I need to start tabbing these things. These are important moments. I usually don't do that, so that was exciting. And also, like, there's some twists in here. The big, like, antagonist of the book I did not see coming. There's definitely some things that I had guessed as far as like certain people that they thought for sure was this big bad person who was murdering all these people. And I never believed that was the person that it actually was. I had some ideas. So I would say I like 50% guessed this because I guessed the situation, but I didn't guess the person, I guess is the best way I can describe it. I don't know. I loved this book. I thought it was so good. And I definitely want to get my hands on the second one. I don't know when I'm going to get my hands on the second one. I think I found it at my library audibly. So we're going to just wait for that to come in. But it's a duology, which is great. So that means once I'm done with the second one, we're done with the series. And I don't know why. I think, like I said, it just hit at the right time for me because I really enjoyed it. So I will say one thing about this is it's categorized as a YA book, and I think it's more of a new adult book just based on not necessarily the ages of the characters, although I think that they are older. I can't remember exactly how old they are, but I think that they are older than like your normal YA, but they're based on the language and some of the romantic scenes between our couples. It's not adult. There's just a few things that I'm just like, this feels a little bit beyond YA. So I think this should be categorized as new adult, but maybe like lower new adult. That weird in between where like you could technically categorize this as YA, but there's just some things that I'm like, I don't know if I would agree with that. So with that's just my little 2 cents there. But I finished it and it was 4.5 stars and it was great. So what does that mean? That means this week, let's look back, shall we? I have all my notes and my stuff on my laptop here. So this week I finished 5 things for the Magical Readathon. 2 were required for my career. So I didn't do fantastic at it, but I'm not upset by any stretch of the imagination because I think if I look at the ratings for these books, I had 1 3.5 and everything else was above that. We started the month with Cutie and the Beast, which I was kind of dragging over from the month previously, which was a manga, and I put this one in for Demonology. And then we had Foxglove by Adeline Grace, which again I pulled over from the month previously, and this was for Inscription. And then we did finish my first required career thing, which was the 3rd volume of Lumberjanes, which I put in for Animal Studies. Then we finished Happy Place by Emily Henry, which I had in for Astronomy. So very excited about this one. This one got 5 stars. Yeah, I'm so happy about my 5 star. I haven't been telling you what I gave these. So I gave Cutie and the Beast 4 stars. I gave Foxglove, I think 4.5. Yes, 4.5. And then Lumberjanes was 3. I realized I hadn't told you about those, but those are great. And then, of course, I finished out the week with 7 Faceless Saints, which was for Astronomy, and I gave it 4.5 stars. So, a pretty decent week. I mean, if you look at this, I had some, like, yes, I rolled over some stuff, but the stuff I rolled over, I'd only read, like, less than 1/4 of in the month previously. So, I'm really excited about that. And then, as far as next week, I will be rolling over Blaze Wrath Games, which I'm hoping will be one of my first reads. I have 2 reads that I really need to pick up because my audiobook from the library is going away. So I have 2 things that I'm hoping to start the week with, but this is one that I really, really want to get to because I've started it and I'm interested in it, but I haven't read enough to really like get invested quite yet. So that's what I'm rolling over into next week. But that's it for the first like week and a half, I think. I think I did this vlog is a little bit longer, but I hope you guys enjoyed. Please let me know your thoughts on any of the books that I mentioned in this vlog or how your reading for the Magical Readathon is going. Are you doing better than me at completing your career? Because I won't say I'm not doing what I need to be doing because I am, but I'm focusing on like the mood reading elements of it and reading things that I actually like really want to read, which is a shame because I want to read everything on my TBR is something that I'm very interested in. So just trying to find what to pick up next and not be overwhelmed. That's what I need to do. Anyway, tell me how your reading is going. That's what I was saying. Tell me how all of your reading is going if you're participating, or if you're not, just tell me how your April reading is going. I would love to know. But if you like this video, and I very much hope that you did, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe down below if you'd like to be part of this awesome growing family. I've also got all my social media down there as well as other fun bookish links, so go check all that out, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!